Do you struggle more with the fear of failure or the fear of success? Find out in this episode. Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Fear Alchemist. My name is Ben Harris, also known as The Fear Guy. I'm really excited about this episode because I see a lot of clients and people in general, people on social media that hit me up with their problems, getting stuck knowing which fear is holding them back. They know that they have a problem. They can feel something holding them back. It's like an invisible barrier, like no matter how hard you try, there's just something there. Like you have an idea in your mind, you fantasize about it, you dream about it, you can create all the ideas, the business ideas, the courses, whatever. But when it comes to actually taking action, going from your head to the paper, or even from your head to the paper, from the paper to the like actual physical course or the program, and then you have to sell it and then you have to market it, like it can you can just easily feel stuck and overwhelmed and not knowing which direction to go or how to fix it, which is incredibly frustrating. Seriously, I know, so frustrating. But your situation, your problem can shift with a simple awareness. So my hope is that creating a new awareness around with like where you're stuck and what's stopping you, what fears in the way, you can get unstuck. Then you can move forward and start seeing the results that you want. So if you still feel stuck after listening to this episode, please reach out to me on Instagram or get on the wait list for coaching with me. If you get on the wait list, you'll be the first to know when spots open up. There's only 3 to 5 coaching spots at each time, and they fill up fast. So getting on the wait list is your best bet if you are interested in working with me. That link is in the show notes or the description, so go check it out. And in today's episode, we are discussing the differences between the fear of failure and the fear of success. And there are some similarities too, which we will talk about as well. And the explanation is actually just really, really simple. Like when you have a fear of failure or a resistance to failure, you are afraid of something not happening. You are worried about something not working out in your favor or your benefit. Like you don't make enough money, the business goes bankrupt, no one signs up for your programs. Simply said, life didn't go the way you expected it to or hoped that it would, right? Everyone knows what failure feels like. And when you have a fear of success or resistance to success, you are afraid of something happening to you. You do not want to be successful because of what success comes with, meaning you get more visibility when you're successful and you're in the spotlight, or it comes with more responsibility and more to lose. People will judge you, criticize you, misunderstand you. You might lose relationships. You will be shamed for standing out or going against the normal path. You might make other people feel jealous or insecure for your success. And you don't want to cause any more conflict or problems. So this is why you hide. This is why you play small. And this is not actually why you are shouting your, offer your business from the rooftops um, for this reason. And I worked with this client one time who didn't realize that they had a fear of success. But then they remembered a memory from their childhood and they moved to a new city and a new school as a kid. And on the first day at this new school, the teacher gave the class a pop quiz. And even though she was new, she aced the test and got the best score in the class. This caused her, the other students and peers to shun her, to make fun of her. So, as a way to protect herself going forward, she started intentionally failing the quizzes and the tests. And this was her way to feel like so she could make friends, so she could be accepted, so she didn't stand out. But ever since this moment, she's felt unsafe with success, and it has influenced every part of her life. So her subconscious literally resisted and rebelled against every time she tried to be successful. Because in her mind and her body, it was like, no, success is dangerous. Like, we're going to get made fun of. We're going to get ostracized. We're going to get, banned from the tribe. And so I wanted to really point this out is like, fear of success is probably more common than you think. And you probably have both. You're probably struggling or suffering with both. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's just pause for a moment and reflect on which one you resonate with more. Do you resonate more with failure or success? Like just pause, listening. Is it like which one makes you feel more uncomfortable? Does the like does the bright lights of success make you like want to vomit and like curl up in a corner? Or does the shame and embarrassment of failure get you all hot and bothered? And like I just mentioned, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can have a fear of both as well. And this is more common than people think. And from my experience, all people, including myself, suffer from both fears. Like we get stuck in the middle of both fears, like in this polarity of failure and success. We get stuck in the middle of it. We ping pong between both. We flip and we flop, or we get stretched and tugged and pushed and pulled in either direction. And it's really hard to know, what is the thing that's, preventing our success. Like we get stuck in this polarizing paradox. And what this looks like is like you you don't want to fail or succeed. So you do just enough to not fail, but not truly succeed either. Does that make sense? Like you will do the bare minimum to not feel like a failure, but then you will play small so you aren't reaching your biggest and brightest version of success. And this is what I've seen over the years most common for people. You don't want to fail because of, like that sucks. No one wants to fail, and like failure doesn't feel good. It comes with a lot of shame and embarrassment. And if you do fail, then it would mean that you are incapable. It means you're unworthy, you're not good enough, and it means you don't matter. But guess what succeeding does? Succeeding would prove that you are not incapable, unworthy, and not good enough, or that you don't matter. And this is an interesting point, and I like stay with me here because like this equally feels dangerous to your ego, to your subconscious, and to your ego and to your subconscious. Because if you have an identity that feels threatened, you will try to protect yourself from it. Like the truth is that you have spent an entire lifetime living in the program that I am incapable or that I don't matter. And in a twisted way, but also makes so much sense. You want to fail because that's what feels normal to you. That's your familiar zone, right? Like if you're used to failing, then you can expect it. You feel safe with it. That's what you're used to. And so you will avoid failure to not feel like a failure, but you will also avoid success to not put that deep belief at risk. Does that make sense? So this is why you feel so stuck. This is why you have a really hard time making progress in your goals and your dreams and your business, because there are like two or more, probably more than two, but two predators like failure and success that are trying to eat you at all times. So it feels like you can't win no matter how hard you try. And in order to break free from this endless prison and reach your goals, like you need to face your fear. There's no other way around it. You have to look at it in the face and become best friends with it. And if you don't, it's going to keep eating you alive. And even if you do reach a high level of success, I've seen plenty of this too in my work. Like your old programming will be in the background telling you that you aren't enough or that you don't matter. So it's like you can force yourself to be successful all that you want. You can like force, just like grind and hustle your way through it. It's possible. We know plenty of examples that where this has happened, but you still don't feel enough because you haven't dealt with those things. Like even though you have the success or the material things that you said that you wanted, you've achieved the goals, but for some reason it still doesn't feel enough, is probably because you're living a life for someone else. So you've tried to be successful because you wanted to be accepted, right? But you're not hitting your own version of success. You're doing what other people said, like your parents or society. So yes, you might be quote unquote successful, but you're not truly doing what you want to do, what makes you happy. So you're not actually successful. And that's why you still don't feel enough. That's why you still don't feel like you matter. And I'm telling you, like, you got to deal with it right now, or you're in for a long, painful road. And I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Um, and another example I want to give you, just so give you some examples so you can relate to, like, oh, yes, this is me or this isn't me. Um, I was talking to someone yesterday and they were telling me that, you know, they didn't want to be successful because what was it? They didn't want to be successful for many reasons, but they didn't want to be successful because of, oh, they were going to be abandoned. That's what it was. They had this deep fear of abandonment. And I totally relate to this, where it's like, and I kind of already mentioned this, right? Of like, hey, you can be successful enough. You can be, there's an acceptable level of success where it doesn't get you in trouble because you're not a failure, but then you're not standing out, right? You're not ruffling any feathers. You're not going against the grain or making people jealous or triggering people in any way. And so this person believed that if they were truly successful, then people wouldn't love them, right? They would leave them, they would lose their friends, and essentially their fear of being alone would come true. And this can play in both in fear and or failure and success, right? Is like if you have this deep fear of failure, because if you fail, then people won't like you and love you and accept you, and then they'll leave you. But then if you're successful, right, the same thing can happen. So you can see how both of these scenarios really send you, it's almost like you get caught in a, what is that, like in a wave, in the whirlpool, like, you know, you're fighting against the current, but it's just you can't get out of it because there's all these different forces tugging at you from every single direction. um but the only way to get through it, like I've mentioned, is like you've got to look at the problem, you've got to discover the root, you've got to go down deep to the core issue. But because if you keep just dealing with it at the surface, it will feel like you're addressing it for a moment, but you're actually not addressing it, right? It's like you can pick the weed and it looks like you got it, but if you didn't get the root, then you didn't really get it, right? Like it's going to keep growing up out of the soil, growing up. And it's like for a moment, it feels like, oh, I took care of it. But no, dude, like you didn't take care of the roots. You didn't go deep enough. Um, so if you're ready right now to break free from fear and these freaking limiting beliefs that are holding you back once and for all, I recommend my Fear Alchemy course. Everything I take through my clients is in this course. It's definitely worth like thousands of dollars, but it's only 297 bucks. And if you want to get to the root and like solve your problem for good, so you can stop being tugged around and feeling stuck, I highly recommend starting here. And if online courses aren't your jam, get on the wait list for my coaching breakthrough sessions, or send me a DM on Instagram if you want information on like mentorship and not just a one-time session. But yeah, man, like I want to give you the tools and knowledge so you can truly change your life. Transform, like not just talk about it, but get the freaking results. Like be about it, walk the walk. And that's what I'm all about. So if that's you, then welcome. Let's party. Let's freaking do this thing. Let's not just dream about it. Let's live it. And for ourselves, for our family, and for so many other people that are relying on our gifts and our magic. Um, and if you gained any insight from this episode, please rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps the podcast get recommended to other people who might be trapped in fearful thinking, or even better, share it with a friend on social media so your peeps can benefit from it too. And appreciate you all for listening and being a part of this community. I love to know, I love hearing from you guys. So I'd love to know your takeaway from this episode. Send me a message on Instagram. If you don't follow me already, it's at the Fear Guy. And I want to know like what blew your mind? What was your takeaway? Like what did you know? What reminder did you get, or what's new that you learned about, fear of failure and success and how that plays a role in our life? I got a message from someone the other day who said that they listened to my episode called Uncovering My Limiting Beliefs About Money and Success, and it revealed a lot about their own programming. So make sure to check out that episode if you haven't already. That was released back on December 21st, 2022. So scroll back and you can find it. That's definitely a good. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on that. So thank you all. I appreciate you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.